Good evening. You are watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. The First World Congress on Maritime Heritage presents Outstanding Leadership Award to His Majesty Sultan Qaboos. The Sultanate condemns the terrorist attack on innocent worshippers in 2 mosques in New Zealand. And the Sultanate participates in the 39th Paris International Book Fair. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. The First World Congress on Maritime Heritage, WCMH, presented the Distinguished Leadership Award to His Majesty Sultan Qaboos in appreciation of His Majesty's royal interest in the Sultanate's maritime heritage and enhancing its maritime position on the international map till it became a linking point among countries and nations, as well as in a recognition of His Majesty's contributions in forming a global understanding on the importance of maritime heritage in the world nowadays. The award presented to His Majesty was received by His Excellency Dr. Ahmed bin Mohammed Al-Ftaisi, Minister of Transport and Communications, during the ceremony held today. Presenting the award coincides with the activities of the first WCMH being held in Singapore. Over 300 participants representing governments, international and regional organizations, and international institutions specializing in maritime affairs, in addition to shipping and insurance companies, representatives of seaports, maritime educational centers, museums, and experts of maritime affairs are taking part in the Congress. Organizing the first WCMH came in cooperation with the International Congress of Maritime Museums, the International Chamber of Shipping, the International Maritime Organization, and the North American Marine Environment Protection Association. The event held in Singapore also coincides with the 200th anniversary of founding the modern Singaporean state, a major global hub for shipping, finance, and trade. The Sultanate condemned the terrorist attack on innocent worshippers in 2 mosques during the Friday prayers that resulted in the death of 49 and injury to dozens of people, including children, in the city of Christchurch in New Zealand. The Sultanate, in a statement issued by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, affirmed its stand that rejects all forms of violence, terrorism, hatred, and racism against innocent people at all times and places. It expressed its sincere condolences to the victims' families and the New Zealand people, wishing the injured a speedy recovery. His Excellency Dr. Hamoud bin Amir Al-Wardi, the Sultanate's consulate in Australia, confirmed that all Omani students are safe in New Zealand after the Christchurch mosque attack. He stressed that the consulate contacted the students there to reassure that they are unharmed, asking them not to leave their homes till the concerned authorities provided possible clearance of movement and mobility. The quiet New Zealand city of Christchurch was struck by 2 deadly attacks today, with 49 people killed and another 20 seriously injured after gun assaults on mosques as Muslims prayed. During afternoon prayers today, a gunman opened fire inside Masjid al-Nur Mosque in central Christchurch, killing 41. Another 7 were slain at a second mosque 5 kilometers away in suburban Linwood, 3 of them outside the building. Witnesses said shots fired in quick succession and some victims were shot at a close range. Police imposed a citywide lockdown, sending armed officers to a number of scenes, and 2 improvised explosive devices were found attached to a vehicle and neutralized. 3 men and a woman were detained. 1 of the men was later charged with murder and 2 others remained in custody. Some narrowly escaped the carnage, including the Bangladesh cricket team, who arrived at Masjid al-Nur Mosque minutes after the shooting began. The Sultanate participated in the 39th Paris International Book Fair held in Paris during the period of the 14th to the 19th of March 2019. The Sultanate's delegation is headed by His Excellency Dr. Abdelmenam bin Mansour Al-Hsani, Minister of Information, and accompanied by representatives of official and private institutions, as well as civil society institutions, writers, and literati taking part in the fair. The Sultanate's participation in this version of the fair is accompanied by many cultural events that represent the Sultanate's cultural and civilizational aspects in international forums. The Royal Oman Symphony Orchestra also take part by performing some Omani folklore musical pieces. Ministry of Finance issued a statement on European Union decision to include the Sultanate of Oman in the list of countries that have not completed the adoption of international tax standards for information exchange. The ministry expressed its regrets over the decision in light of the continuous communication between the Sultanate of Oman and the European Union to combat tax evasion and strengthen cooperation between tax authorities. The ministry affirmed that it will move forward with its efforts to fulfill the criteria stipulated in the agreements and treaties that enhance cooperation with tax authorities of other countries, which is being completed due to the legislative cycle in the Sultanate, in the belief of the importance of this agreement. The Sultanate has made significant strides in this regard, as the steps will be completed in the near future and the European Union will be informed of Oman's progress accordingly. The ministry looks forward, once the requirements are met, to effective response from the European Union in removing the Sultanate from that list. The Ministry of Finance affirmed the keenness of the Sultanate to take every step that would enhance its position in the economic, financial, and investment aspects in order to ensure an advanced position for the Sultanate in these areas, regionally and internationally. Still to come on News Bulletin. The Berlin Zoo shows off its new polar bear cub to the public for the first time.
Why is competition good for businesses? Businesses compete in things like price, quality, and service to win new customers who could be other businesses as well as consumers. Being competitive can mean more customers choose you rather than your rivals. But when businesses collude and don't compete, this can lower down the quality and service, and the consumers paying more than they should. This is an unlawful practice and can stop consumers from getting more options on goods and services with better quality and better prices. That's why the Competition Protection and Monopoly Prevention Law was issued, to regulate the freedom of practicing any economic activities and stabilize the principles of the market rules and freedom of pricing, in such manner that the same shall not restrict competition, prevent the same, or be negatively affected, thereby to benefit consumers, businesses, and the national economy. Breaching any of the law's clauses could lead to prison sentences and fines up to 100,000 Omani riyals. The punishment can also include paying 10% of the total annual sales of the products subject of the violation, as well as damage to the business's reputation. Help us in preventing anti-competitive activities by contacting the following numbers. And to know more about the law and the prohibited activities, please visit our website www.cmc.om. Competition Protection and Monopoly Prevention Center.
Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Royal Oman Police announced this morning that it found the second missing person in the boat sinking incident that took place in the sea in the Wilayat of Mahout. The police said that the person was found dead by some people at the beach and was handed over to his relative. The incident took place a week before when 6 men from the Wilayat of Al-Qabil when they took a trip to the Wilayat of Mahut for camping and fishing. Women Association in the Wilayat of Shilem and Halaniyat Islands organized a seminar under the theme My Project. The event, which was supported by Riyadh, Raft Fund and Oman Development Bank, provided many proposals to support small and medium enterprises and their beneficiaries. The event provided an opportunity for a dialogue between officials and business owners on support mechanisms. International donors have pledged around $7 billion in aid for Syria and Syrian refugees who fled the conflict-ravaged country. The European Union announced yesterday as the war enters its 9th year. Syria's war began in March 2011 with peaceful Arab Spring protests against President Bashar al-Assad. The rise of an insurgency plunged the country into war. Assad's forces have made major gains in recent years with the help from Russia and Iran, but large parts of the country are still controlled by various armed groups. Some 6 million people have fled Syria and refugees are reluctant to return, fearing violence or prison. UN agencies, non-governmental organizations think warnings that the conflict, which has killed more than 400,000 people and sparked a refugee exodus that destabilized Syria's neighbors and also hit Europe, is far from over. Tens of thousands of students marched through Rome today to protest against the lack of government action over global warming. The coordinated school strikes were held around the world, inspired by 16-year-old Swedish activist Greta Thunberg, who began holding solitary demonstrations outside the Swedish parliament last year. Since then, the weekly protests have went from a handful of cities to hundreds, fueled by dramatic headlines about the impact of climate change during the students' lifetime. In Rome, the students carried signs reading, "Change now, there's only one Earth, and make Earth green again," while they marched from the Colosseum to the Piazza Venezia. Today's rallies are expected to be one of the biggest international movements to date. Protests were underway or planned in cities in more than 100 countries, including Hong Kong, New Delhi, Wellington, New Zealand, and Oulu, Finland. The Berlin Tire Park Zoo showed off its new polar bear cub to the world today after she received her final jabs. The bear, who hasn't been named, was born on December 1st, 2018, and the zoo said she's developing well. She was allowed to venture out of her indoor cage for the first time today and enjoyed romping around with her mother Tanja and swimming in the enclosure chili pond. The zoo said the cub will now be allowed out daily for all to see. The 3-month-old cub's playfulness could make her the German capital's next animal celebrity. The Tire Park has the same management as Berlin's other zoo, which was home to celebrity polar bear Knut, whose fame landed him a Vanity Fair cover. He died prematurely from illness in 2011 at the age of 4. Now for the general weather forecast around the Sultanate. Clear skies will prevail over most of the governorates, with chances of low clouds and fog late at night and early morning over the governorates of Sharqiya and Wusta. Clear to partly cloudy skies are expected over the northern governorates. Winds will be northwesterly light to moderate. Seas will be slight with a maximum wave height of 1.25 meters. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's news bulletin, here are the main points once again. The First World Congress on Maritime Heritage presents Outstanding Leadership Award to His Majesty Sultan Qaboos. The Sultanate condemns the terrorist attack on innocent worshippers in 2 mosques in New Zealand. And the Sultanate participates in the 39th Paris International Book Fair. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, thank you for watching and good night.